Dragon Ball games. We all love them, some of us might hate them, and most of the games aren't very bad. But then you have your horrible ones that are just downright disgustingly made. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. The top 6 worst Dragon Ball games of all time, man. Dragon Ball Z, Battle of Z. Crazy that it's a top 6 list, and this is actually the least horrible game out of this entire list that I have here. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I didn't even really play this game that much. It was just a horrible game that I completely forgot about. My only experience playing Dragon Ball Z Battle of Z was honestly just the demo. I remember I played the demo a couple times, and it was not a game that grabbed my attention whatsoever. It was not a memorable game. It's a team of 4 or 5 characters, and you guys essentially just go into the game, duke it out as teams. Watching gameplay before making this video, I still don't even understand how you're supposed to win on the online mode. But I do remember they had this weird concept where you're fighting each other and you can kill the other people on the other team. Once you get knocked down, your teammate can actually revive you, which is entirely goofy looking, by the way. You're literally just sitting there punching your teammate's dead body. And if your teammates are either incompetent or they just don't care to do it, then you'll have to go through this countdown until you respawn to fight again. I guess the whole premise of the online mode is Goku is trying to build enough energy for the spirit bomb. There's actually like a giant spirit bomb that's in the middle of the map, and you can basically just send energy to it, or you can just legitimately just completely ignore that mechanic entirely and just duke it out. The bar ends up going up somehow. The online is just atrociously bad to where it just buffers and lags. It's horrible, man. It's horrible. It's horrible. But hey, we got Sage Mode Goku, man, so I guess that's one good thing that came out of it. But if you like the game, let me know down in the comments, man, because I genuinely did not play the game at all, so I don't really know. I've heard some people say that it was actually a pretty fun experience. I want to know, because I want to know people's actual thoughts on the game for the people who actually did play it. Dragon Ball Z Sagas. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't necessarily hate this game that much as a kid, but thinking about it now, it is not a very memorable game at all. It's clunky. There's nothing really redeeming about the game that's gonna make you want to go back to it unless you're just going back to the game for nostalgia. The combat was weird. Even for the standard of game back then during that time, it was a very low bar in terms of other games. When you had all the Budokai games to reference, I remember they had this weird power level indicator to try to tell you how strong the character was. Random made up number to try to make the enemy you're fighting seem stronger. One of the things that used to annoy me a lot playing it as a kid was you would walk around kind of free roam style through the different planets that the characters would go throughout the series, and they would have capsules that would be up on top of areas that you couldn't get to normally. Even though you're playing characters that can fly, you couldn't get to these items without jumping on a platform first. The height wouldn't allow you to fly on top of these platforms to get to these capsules. That alone just shows you how bad that game was, bro. That game, it was something, but hey, it was one of the only games to get Future Gohan right with actually showing him with one arm in the game, because not many games do that. All the games up until Kakarot, and overall I don't even think many people even know that this game even exists or even remember the game. You would have had to have either been born in the 90s or be a very old fan of Dragon Ball to even remember this game. I'm 26 and that was a game during my childhood. People in the newer generations won't even know that this game is even a thing. Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Tenkaichi. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this game isn't the worst Dragon Ball game to ever exist, because there's obviously way worse games than this one. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. This game was an innovator in its own way, but overall it was not a very good presented game, and it was not as well received as they would have expected it to be, and it was not the game changer that they probably also expected it to be. Same as all the other bad Dragon Ball games, it was very forgettable. I can guarantee you that most people don't even remember that Ultimate Tenkaichi even exists. It dropped the ball so hard. It was the first Dragon Ball game to introduce custom characters outside of Dragon Ball Online. They just did it in such a bad way. You can tell it was the first game where they tried this out. I will say that this game walked very horribly so Xenoverse could run, introducing the custom characters and the story that was based around that custom character, going through the Dragon Ball story that we know from Dragon Ball Z. Character creation was very limited and it was just not that captivating. Ultimate Tenkaichi probably had some of the worst gameplay mechanics in Dragon Ball games of all time, man. The whole RPS / rock paper scissors aspect of the game is just horrible. In your Budokai games where you would would do the rush attack, right? In order to finish your attack, you have to press a button and you have to hope that the person that you're fighting against doesn't press the same button to stop your move, or they get it wrong and you're able to finish your attack. And it's not even hyped like it was in the Budokai games. It's just infuriating because the entire game is based around this RPS where you can't even get damage because your opponent 50-50s you and stops your attack multiple times, and this happens over and over again. It's just infuriating, not even fun, and it just becomes repetitive. An attack, a key blast, and an evade. It's so bad. It's so freaking bad. That game mechanic just completely turned me off from the game when I tried it. The combat is basically centered around switching between a melee range and a key blast range. Gosh, it's so bad. So you basically have your light attacks, which is square or X, depending on which console you played on, and then you have your heavy attacks, which is triangle or Y. Unlike newer games in the series, you can't chain light and heavy attacks together, so you have to either do light attacks or you have to do heavy attacks, and like the time in between switching between those two attacks, it's this massive gap, and then the key blast range is just horrible. Overall, it's just a very bad game that has no redeeming qualities besides introducing the custom characters in the game. But yeah, moving on, man. Dragon Ball Z for Kinect. Oh my god, this is one for sure. To piggyback off of Ultimate Tenkaichi, this game is literally just Ultimate Tenkaichi, but on the Kinect for the Xbox 360, bro. Literally, that's all I can say about it. Just Ultimate Tenkaichi, but with the eye, bro. The controls are so wonky in this game. Things are unresponsive. You can't even really precisely swing. It gets to the point where if you ever play the game or if you watch any gameplay like I did before doing this video, you're literally just flailing your arms around, punching back and forth over and over again just to fight these characters. It's also a forgettable game, and I remember seeing advertisement for it. It was not well received at all. No one even acknowledged this game. It was not a game that was even praised or even talked about after the initial response. On top of it being locked behind the Kinect, you can't play the game without the Kinect, so if you wanted to play it on an emulator, you couldn't even do that like any other Dragon Ball game that exists. And with it being a game where you're flinging around, people are generally going to be pretty tired playing this game, and you're playing a Dragon Ball game, so there's a lot of fighting and there's going to be a lot of swinging, a lot of arm flailing. But if you remember that game, man, let me know, man. Dragon Ball Z for Kinect on the Xbox 360, it was definitely something. Dragon Ball Evolution, the game. That's it. It was Dragon Ball Evolution, the game. That's the placement. Horrible. Garbage movie. Didn't play the game, but I know that junk is trash too. Moving on, bruh. I have a personal vendetta with this game because I literally have zero good memories on this game at all. Probably the worst Dragon Ball game I've ever played in my life, not gonna lie. Dragon Ball GT Final Bout. To say this game is bad and why this game is the #1 spot on this list is an understatement, bro. The graphics being bad for the time that it was out, granted it was a PS1 game, the mechanics were horrible, the game had game-breaking glitches in it. One of the only memories I have from the game being stuck in between Great Ape Baby's legs, bro. Literally as Super Saiyan 4 Goku got stuck in between this dude's legs, couldn't move, couldn't finish the match because for some reason the Great Ape basically takes up about 90% of the screen, 99% of the screen, so you can barely even move to fight the guy. So I'm stuck in between his legs and I have to completely quit the game, and I don't think I ever picked the game up after that. And on top of that, it didn't have the original voice actors, so it's literally just random Joe Schmoes out there doing voice acting. Like, listen to this junk.
Now there's no one that can beat me at this moment, so let's see how strong you are.
Who is that guy, bro? Who are these people? They're not even the original voice actors from the series. They're not even doing impressions of the Dragon Ball characters, man. Like, they're not even doing the impressions of the voices. Sounds like the Big Green dub or something.
Let that child alone.
What is going on here? Literally the only redeeming quality of this game, whether you like it or not, it has the original GT soundtrack in there. Other than that, that is the worst Dragon Ball game that I have ever played, and it will never be on any good list, underrated games, good games, or anything, bro. That game is horrible and deserves all the hate that it got, bro. That game is trash. This is the worst Dragon Ball games of all time, and I plan on doing the best Dragon Ball games of all time, which I can't wait to do because there's a lot of spicy Dragon Ball games out there, and I'm so excited to talk about. So look out for that in the future, man. These are also some really good videos that you should check out, and you're gonna like them. Like, comment, subscribe, click the bell since we post videos. It's been Tavius, man. I will see you guys in the next video.